Morning, what's my pipe? Don't think I've seen you before. Welcome aboard. Thank you for joining. Glad you managed it. Watch my pipe. Thank you for joining. Hi, Josh. Yep, early start today. Couldn't sleep. I woke up too quickly this morning. When I say too quickly, I mean I try to, if I can, get at least 6 hours, but I woke up and I couldn't get back to sleep, so I figured no point wasting the time. Get to it. I've got to go out this evening anyway, so I thought I'd get a head start on this pipe. It definitely is the way, but it's not good when you've got to do a really heavy day's work. I've got a function that I'm doing got to leave the house about 3 o'clock, and I'll be on my feet probably for about 9 hours or something like that, which is not good given my current situation with my foot. So I'll be drugged up, but I've got no choice. Got to take the work. No choice at all. Well, there is a choice. Don't have a roof over your head, I guess, and sell the kids. Beautiful. Morning all. Hope everybody's well. Last night was good fun, James. Last night was awesome. And it's corojo, not corojo, vomit. Oh. Oh my gosh, wash my pipe. That's terrible. Well, I wish you just the strength. That's what you need more than anything else, is the strength to just get through it. Ah, yeah, the wondrous and seductive aroma of Orlik, golden sliced. For the very shrewd judges amongst you. Well, it's easier for you to get it in the States than it is here in the UK. Nobody sells it here in the UK, so we can only get it from abroad. There is a difference between as soon as you open the tin and when it's sat in your jar for a year, for sure. Like any Virginia, but with this one in particular, there is a difference. That's why I've left this. This is my Orlik pipe, but I've left it out here because I got the older jar here. I've only opened a new tin upstairs, but this one is from. Oh, it's also from 21. It's from May, so I've only just opened that, but at least it's been in the jar for a couple of months. There is a difference. The thing I like about this is that although it's a bright Virginia, but there is some, obviously you've got the zestiness, but there is a bit of a nuttiness to it, which originally I would have said it was due to burley, but they don't put burley in anymore. It's now Perique. It used to be burley. But there is a nuttiness to it, like a toasted, it's like the hay being toasted. And there's a sweetness, there's like a caramelly kind of sweetness to it as well on the retrohale especially. It's not in your face, it's a fairly subtle blend. It won't bite. I tried some Sutliff 507C last night, the Virginia slices. I've had that in the jar for like a year or so. I tried it when I first got it, I didn't like it. I tried it again yesterday and I didn't like it. It bit me, even using a filter. Hey Sandro, ciao. Anyhow, this is commission number 2 from the same customer. Yesterday's pipe was the first one, and he wanted a thick-bowled, long-shanked billiard, which is what he got. And today he wanted a more medium size, but still with thick walls. So, and he wanted tortoiseshell with no band. So that's where we're at today. The bowl shape is looking fantastic. Let's hope we can keep it that way. Nice looking grain showing through. Yeah, hopefully it'll be a good one. So I'm just going to enjoy this bowl and then I'm going in. So did you get the pronunciation, James? Tapered bowl as well. I've started using the tapered drill bit quite a lot now. I think it's going to give a better smoke. I should really make one for myself and just see how that is. Drilling is beautiful, right on point. And it should be a great pipe. It should be quite a bit lighter than yesterday's one. It was good fun, James. You're a good host. You can see some of that flame grain there. Some nice grain. Any updates on Ladon? It's a funny thing, Briar. You know, sometimes when you wet the block, the grain on it looks absolutely awesome, and then when you stain it, sometimes it doesn't look as good, and sometimes it's the opposite. When you look at it like that, you know, before you stain it, it doesn't look like much, but then when you stain it, you can't always see the properties, you know, the hard and soft parts of the briar. Usually the grain will tell you that, but sometimes it just happens differently. I can't explain it, but sometimes it just works. The grain just pops beautifully when you put stain on it. Sometimes best left alone. Yesterday I did the barely there stain, and it may well be I should do the same with this one, so at least it's got like a bit of a theme going. Well, I think the brand of briar that you buy is very important. The quality, how they grade it, not so important. Well, I say that with a caveat, obviously. If you want to get the absolute best grain, straight grain and whatever, then yes, buy grade 1. But in terms of flaws, there isn't a huge difference. It's pot luck. And if you buy a grade 3, a 2 or a 1, you've got the same risk as far as I can see. When you buy a grade 1, you're buying from the part of the burl, which is the most likely to give you perpendicular grain. Whereas with others, it's sort of fanning out and it's basically giving you flame grain. Sometimes if you're lucky, you can get straight grain as well. If you rotate the block and sort of play around with it, you can get fantastic grain. And if you do it the high grade way and only drill it after you've shaped it, then you can follow the grain even closer. But in terms of flaws, I haven't seen a difference. I've had all 3 grades of Mimo Briar. I haven't really seen a difference. Yeah, I find a lot of the Italian ones, Sandro, they use like almost a barely there, but with an orange tinge to it. I think Castello, I think a lot of theirs have got this orangey kind of tinge, orange hue to their finish. But the barely there one that I use, I think is very nice. It literally just enhances the existing grain. Doesn't really add anything in terms of color. I kind of like it. I like the orange finish as well. I have used it a couple of times myself. But I find the briars do color up really nicely. And the less you do to it, the more that's going to be evident. If you stain it up, it will still get dark for sure, but it won't be as pretty. It won't, the grain won't pop naturally. Whatever staining they've done is just going to darken. Colin, are you pour pipes? Lapwing, I forget. Somebody mentioned pour pipes yesterday, and I never heard of them. But it's really cool. There's such a influx of UK pipe makers. It's really encouraging. So, do you put any pipes up on YouTube or anywhere on Facebook, Colin? Hey, Jack. That's, I mean, a lot of even early on when I was started doing staining of my pipes, and the people started to recognize the staining that I did. Even this one, see, I always tried to get as much contrast as I could. And people said to me, well, why don't you use a top color, like the high graders use, like it's like they make the dark grain deep black, and then they'll have a yellowy red kind of finish over it. And that's very nice. It's very pretty when you buy it new. And when you have a new pipe, it looks fantastic. And you buy one of Tom Eltang's golden contrast, stunning, absolutely stunning. And the 3D depth that they get from that black is amazing. and he uses a very special stain which you can't get anymore, which is of his own making, and it became illegal and blah blah, and he got some kind of special permission to make it. Anyway, that's by the by. But it does look fantastic. But when that darkens up, it almost disappears. I mean, I won't go so far as to say disappear, but it becomes, once it's dark, that's it. You know, you're not going to see that grain as clearly. So what I do is I literally get as much contrast as I can, and I leave the bright. I leave it as white as I can. So at least that way the grain pops for as long as possible. So even when the pipe darkens, this pipe has had a lot of use, and the grain is still very evident. And so I've always said that when I'm making my pipes, I'm making the pipes the way I like them. And for me, that's important. I want to see the grain. Colin, you could always do videos the way I do them. The hell's going on my roof? Some kind of birdified orgy going on up there. Literally. Well, there are magpies, but also pigeons, and they literally come and land on my roof and walk around, and I hear them all the time. And my neighbour next door on that side has also got a bunch of fruit trees, and every so often there'll be a loud clatter of fruit which drops on my roof. No doubt what's causing the leaks on my roof. And I'm sitting here working, and I get the shock of my life. I get this thing going like that on my roof. But I guess you get used to it after a while. They're fornicating ornifications. Shot any squirrels recently, James? Black ones? Yeah, the Phoebing's black is not really black. I don't use it. I literally don't touch it unless I'm doing rustication sometimes. But yeah, that's why he uses a particular black which he makes up himself, which officially in Denmark is not legal. And I read somewhere that he had to get some kind of special permission, and he's the only one who's got it. But there's two blacks with Phoebings. There's a regular black, and then there's a USMC black, which is the one to use. But I don't use black. I just use the variations of brown most of the time. The problem with black is that when you look at a briar very close up, you've got the grain. If it's really nice and clean, it's grain, and in between the lighter area, it's nice and light. But on most blocks, there's lots of little dots, and when you stain it black, what you get is it gets almost like a dirty look. All the little dots, just little black dots everywhere. And I find it doesn't look as bad with brown because the briar itself is a shade of brown, even though it's much brighter. But it's a shade of brown, so it kind of blends in much better, I find, than black. The USMC is not everybody stocks it, so yeah. To be honest with you, somebody mentioned it to me when I first started, and I've only bought that, so I don't know the difference really. But I imagine that this one is a proper black as opposed to a dark blue. But yeah, the black I only really use for some pipes which I rusticate. The pipe I was smoking last night in the Zoom, that one is black. but mostly it's brown, dark brown. Good luck, Jack. It's always good to have a vice or two. So England beat the Czech Republic, just about. It was a boring match to me. First half, I didn't see the first half. The first half was supposedly a better half, but I don't follow football very closely anymore. I used to, but they face either France or Portugal or one of those kind of countries. I don't fancy their chances, but you never know. You never know. Every match is different. But in the second half, he could have fallen asleep and not missed a thing. For you not to follow it, James, is not so surprising. But here in the UK, it's definitely the number one sport. Although, judging by people on the YTPC, there's a lot of you guys follow football, soccer. I agree, Josh. The World Cup has got a particular vibe, which none of the other tournaments really get. Well, I guess if the Euros are now, then the World Cup must be in 2 years' time. Were the Euros postponed because of COVID, or is this the date it was supposed to be at? Liverpool. Yeah, I'm sure you do, Josh. James, do you like to watch? Well, you don't know if it's going to be a 0-0 draw, do you? It was supposed to be last year. Okay, so maybe the World Cup will be next year then. Where's the next World Cup, Sandro? God, that's going to be hot. I assume during the summer as well. I remember a good while back, where was it that it was absolutely ridiculously hot? I think I was in my teens at the time, and literally there was the worry about the players getting dehydrated. Even October, November. Yeah, because women can't really play football, right? He said, tongue in cheek. That's about as far as you can go with a filter, but there's still plenty of gunk in there. GQ Tobacco's own brand. Josh, did you pull the trigger on GQ last night? UK Pipe Show. This was designed by the Peaches, by Anna. Cool. So what's so good about it? Do you taste the rum in it, Josh? Because so far I've not yet discovered a decent, good quality tobacco with a rum flavour. You know, lots of the Navy flakes supposedly have rum on there, but I never get the rum. And I've tried the Gareth Hogarth rum and maple, but I didn't think that much of that either. Good morning, Caleb. Well, Navy Rolls doesn't have rum. Plum cake might. I've never tried plum cake. And Navy Rolls is just Virginia Perique. Four or five times smoked it. I had some about a year ago. A year on it. But do you get rum flavour through it? Because if it's Gareth Hogarth, then unless it's one of the American style aromatics, if it's one of the English ones, then at least you know you're getting a decent tobacco. Let me get it on the screen here. Gareth Hogarth. Are you talking about sliced black twist RM, formerly rum? Or is it literally just rum flake? You've got a Gareth Hogarth exclusive plum and rum. Lots of rums. Wild mango. Ooh. brown twist, sweet rum. Jamaican flake. Where's the last page? There it is. That looks like a very, very hearty flake. My question is there any Lakeland in there at all? There's no description on it. Yeah, you see what I'm doing. It's a Virginia Burley by the looks of it. And I'm not sure if this is the right one. It's got rum flake on Tobacco Reviews, and they may not have renamed it yet. Is that what it was before? Was it called rum flake before? Let's see what Smoke King says. Christmas cake of tobaccos because it's rich, sweet, full-flavored blend. They've cased the blend in maple sugars to fortify the natural sweetness of the sun-cured Virginias. The burley content gives the mix its robustness. To finish off and round off the flavors, they've added a shot of rum. So it doesn't sound like there's a lot of rum in that. Deep brown flakes with golden brown banding and speckles. Easy to work with and a perfect moisture with an aroma of sweetness, nuttiness, and quality tobaccos. The urge to pack this into a bowl is irresistible and highly rewarding. Ooh, mild rum and sweet maple with a hint of spice. It sounds like the rum and maple I've got, I have to be honest. And comes the base tobacco flavor of sweet hay and nuttiness. Together, the tobaccos and added flavors mingle and entwine, giving a cool smoke that lasts. Medium strength, mild to medium flavoring. Taste is medium to full. Room note, pleasant to tolerable. Okay. Yeah, Jamaican flake is because of the laws that you can't describe anything as food or flavoring or anything like that, but still, they've got various different rum blends. I just want to know which one it is or was so that I can find it on Tobacco Reviews. Rum flake. Oh, it says formerly rum flake. Okay, fine. Rum flake. Let's see what the Tobacco Review says. Virginia Burley, blah, 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 maple and rum. Jim Inks gives it 3 stars. Not an all-day smoke, but repeatable for the veteran smoker. Got away with his words, hasn't he? The mildly applied maple sugar is the star topping. The rum is not very detectable. A hint of Lakeland exists. Okay, that's me out. I knew that would be the case. Most Garth Hogarth blends will have a hint, even if they're not a Lakeland, they'll have a hint of Lakeland because they're all made in the same machines and whatnot. So if anybody doesn't like Woggy, moin moin. So if anybody doesn't like Lakeland, then you're not going to like that. Germany's always a good team, and they're fantastic at beating England in soccer. Sorry, Wolfgang. I'm not sure I'm going to make it tonight to the Zoom, Sandro. I actually have a wedding today to shoot. It's a relatively short wedding. I should be finished by 11 o'clock. So if you guys are still on around that time, I'll probably join you driving home. What did you think of the England match last night? I thought it was boring. Who's on first base? Well, it sounds like Germany's playing. Yeah, the first half apparently was good. I missed the first half, but the commentators were saying that the first half was good. That England played very, very well. But the second half was what I saw, and it was boring. I think Wolfgang was saying after the game he will join Zoom. Okay, look forward to seeing you for the obituary, Wolfgang, for either Germany or France. We'll see. Commiseration, Jack. It was only a matter of time, though. And it's the same for England. I really don't expect us to do that well, based on last night's performance. But like I said before, each game can be different. France Portugal should be interesting. Germany Ukraine. Germany should walk that, really. Although any team that's in the Euros is capable. Yeah, last night they had I think 21,000 people in the stadium. I think next week they're going to have about 40,000, and then it'll go up to about 60,000. Not quite sure I understand the logic behind all of that, but I guess they know what they're doing. Yeah, it's about time. Let's hope it's a lasting exodus from this ridiculous virus. Whoa, John, how you doing? Here's my Night Piper impression. was listening to your video earlier on, John. Left you a comment. You were sounding very, what's the word? Your voice was very bluesy. That's a good way of putting it. And a little bit interested in what Pipe Week was all about. Can you find Sea Rock Prior? Only in Italy. That pipe you got there, John, is a doozy. All it golden sliced. It needs more time in the jar, this one. But like any tobacco, it tastes different at different times of the day. It looks fantastic. It's like a really thick pot-shaped 55. It looks really wide, thick walls. I like that staining that they do as well. That two-tone staining. I haven't really tried that. Yeah, it definitely needs time to age. I'll have to move on to something else. Maybe go back to the vintage, the my own blend vintage flake. That one's been in the jar for longer. What does it weigh, John? Well, it looks like a great pipe anyway. Enjoy it, especially if your kids bought it. That's something else. That's next level. Somehow I don't think my wife will let my kids buy me a pipe. They once bought me a lighter and she wasn't very happy about that. So oh, I thought you said your kids bought it. Maybe I misunderstood that. How long should you keep the golden slice in the jar? As long as you can. There's no limit. But if you have it in there for a year to start with, then it's going to be great from then on. I mean, it's fine, smoke fresh, but it's really not at its best. Like most Virginias, like proper Virginias, it needs a bit of time to just develop that sweetness. Take it out of the tin, stick it in the jar. It'll improve within a few weeks, but it'll be really good to go after about a year. But the tin which I opened upstairs, I think, is a 2018 tin, so hopefully that one's got a head start. So once it's been in the jar for a bit, it should be good. And I've still got that really old tin, that rectangle tin, the old small tins, when it was still Burley rather than Perique. And I had 2 tins of that to start with, and I used the first tin to create my first ever mix of London Fog. And so I never really got to grips with the flavour of that original All It Golden Sliced, but I don't know why, but I still haven't cracked that second tin. Kind of saving it. It's like when you have something special, you just sort of think, oh, yeah, it can wait a bit longer. I've got that with a bunch of cigars as well. I've got a bunch of singles, which are all, very special cigars, and I just keep pushing it off. But I have smoked a few of them now. Just, telling myself, just enjoy them. Yeah, could do that. Get the kids in. I've had them, especially Ruffy, do. He's done a good deal on one of the pipes. He did quite a bit of the work on one of the pipes. That one went to Daniel. So yeah, could do that. The first pipe I made for this guy has a much smaller air hole. I'm undecided on that. You see a lot of the Danish guys doing quite narrow holes, whereas a lot of the American guys have really wide. Really, the V slot is really, really wide. I'm a bit undecided on that. But with 9mm, it's probably best to make wider. I might have to just redo that, expand that slot a little bit on the pipe. I think it might be a bit narrow. Thank you, Wolfgang. That would be cool if he'd be around and he'd buy one of my pipes. Where's that drill bit gone? Oh, great. Cue Josh. There you go. I know my audience. It's quite cool when you're working on a tortoise shell. Alright, well, I've just reported that user. What I was about to say is that it's really cool. Oh, great. I've not really had that before. It's been a long time since we had some dodgy people joining. Trolls. Josh, I can get you to be the moderator. Add moderator. There you go, Josh. You're the spanner now. Or at least I think I just made you the moderator. Yeah. Why haven't you got a spanner on your name? There you go. What I was about to say is that when you're working on a tortoise shell, you can actually see what you're doing. It's quite cool, so you can watch. You can really get precise on the shaping inside there. You can really move it around and get that shaping going. Ring your parents, Josh. Tell them all that education, all that money they poured into you, finally paid off. Well, we got a bit of a whistle. I think that it's because it's a tapered stem. The drill comes in right at the nadir, and it's quite narrow at the bottom, so that's why it probably makes a little bit of a whistle, but it's absolutely clear. I mean, it's 4.5 mil draft, so it's wide open. It's clean. I'm just sort of filing it to get it cleaner, but it's absolutely clean. But I think it's because it's a very tapered stem. It's like a V slot, a V chamber. This is a very similar chamber to my Boswell pipes. 15 centimeters. I would say it's probably something like that. It's exactly 15 centimeters. Wow, Sandra, it's literally 15 centimeters. Hey, Steph. Well, he wanted a slightly longer, not as long as yesterday's pipe, but he wanted a slightly longer stem. So basically, in order so that it shouldn't end up being again another 7 or 8 inches, I did a shorter shank. A short shank. It's all right now. I'm pretty sure it's just to do with the bowl. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if you can see the base of it. That's too bright. There, you can see kind of how that darker area there, that's the base of it. So, and you can see the hole there. It's really narrow at the bottom, so I think that's what it is. it's not the stem that I can see. If you listen, the stem is perfect. And the bowl has a little bit of a whistle, but it's completely crystal clear. You can see how sharp that hole is, so there's no obstruction. It's completely consistent and smooth. So the only thing I can think of is that it's because it's a very narrow base of the bowl. It won't whistle when you smoke it because you're not tugging on it like that. You're just drawing on it slowly. It won't whistle when there's tobacco in there. I'm 100% sure of that. I think it's just the air pattern. It's probably a centrifugal effect because of that small bowl and the tapering. In Germany, they call them whistles. Another word for a pipe is a whistle. Right, gentlemen, I'm going to head indoors, and ladies, thank you very much for joining. Well, you got to sweat the details. You got to, it's got to be right. Otherwise, there's not much point in being a pie maker. You got to try your best to make it perfect each time. So perhaps I'll be back a little bit later on for part 2, and we'll get the shaping done. Catch you all later. Cheers, Spanner.